On June 4th, 1976, the Boston Celtics faced the Phoenix Suns in the 5th game of the NBA Finals. Later, many would simply call it the greatest game ever played.
That was the greatest game I've ever been involved in.
I remember it started one day and ended the next. You know, it was after midnight before it was over.
It was like 3 games in one almost, you know.
Everybody was just exhausted emotionally and physically.
That championship series did not mean nearly as much to the Celtics as it would have meant to the Phoenix Suns.
Heavily favored Boston had grabbed the first 2 games of the series before being stunned 2 straight in Phoenix. And as the venue shifted back to Boston Garden, each team was set to battle for the series lead. It would turn out to be a battle no one could have ever imagined. From the opening tip, Boston took control of the contest and quickly built what appeared to be an insurmountable lead. The fast start had Celtic faithful calling for the Suns to surrender and had the Celtics looking for more.
I remember that Boston had us down by 20 or 22 points. We had to call 3 timeouts in the first quarter. We were really reeling.
But the Suns refused to quit, and their confidence grew as the Celtic lead diminished. As history would later show, this game was far from over. Once Phoenix got close, Boston was unable to shake them. And when Paul Westphal hit this driving 3-point play, the score was tied at 94, and the comeback was nearly complete. With 3 seconds remaining, Phoenix had a chance for victory, but Dave Cowens deflected the inbounds pass, and the 2 teams looked towards overtime, tied at 95.
Going into the first overtime, we actually felt that we could beat them in the first overtime, especially once we came from 20 down.
But it was Boston who struck first. And with Phoenix quick to answer, the chase was on.
There were so many highs and lows. You thought you had it won, and all of a sudden you were elated. Within a second, it would turn around and you felt you were defeated.
As the end of overtime approached, the score was still tied, but this time Boston would go for the win.
Nelson, he waits, they set it up. It comes to Havlicek, deep in the corner. Havlicek's shot is not good. Second overtime coming up.
As the 2 teams staggered into a second overtime, the pace raced faster.
And you can feel the tension in the Garden start picking up and picking up.
There was a lot of tremendous individual plays in those overtimes.
By the end of the second OT, the challenge came not only from each other, but from within.
15 seconds to go. Phoenix down by 1. Here's a steal by Westphal to Van Arsdale to Perry. It won't go. Perry gets the rebound. Perry from the corner scores it. Curtis Perry scores it. 5 seconds to go. Oh, I don't believe it. I do not believe it.
But Boston would still have one more shot.
The guy we were most concerned about was Havlicek, and we wanted to have help, and I'll be a son of a gun if he didn't break loose.
He's coming around to the left. The shot is good. The shot is good, and that's it. The ball game's over. Hold the phone. The Celtic fans are going bananas. The game is not over. I don't think the game is over. There's 2 seconds remaining, I do believe.
I remember thinking that we won, leaving the floor after that second overtime, and realizing that there was 1 second left on the clock, and they brought us back out.
We were down by 1, and under the rules of the time, we would have the ball out underneath the basket, which makes it almost impossible to get the ball down the floor and get a good shot in 1 second. So we decided to call a timeout.
Heads-up call by Westphal to call a timeout and give us the technical.
Out of bounds on the end line. The shot is good by JoJo White.
JoJo White made the free throw, put them up by 2, but we would still get the ball at half court. So instead of being down by 1, we'd be down by 2. but at least we'd have a chance to tie the game.
1 second remaining in the second overtime.
We had a two-option play, and one was designed for Paul Westphal down in the corner, and the other option was for Curtis Perry to throw the ball to Garfield Hurd up the top of the key.
Nelson stood between myself and the basket, so the only thing I could do was break out to get the ball. And I got a good pass from Curtis, and just kind of like instant reaction, just turn and shoot and hope that you get it off in time.
Won't start until it's touched. They'll have to throw it up. Garfield, turnaround, shot in the air. It's good. It's tied again. I don't believe it. We've got a third overtime in the Boston Garden.
And when I took the shot, if I don't know whether it's on the film or not, but I kind of looked over at the official to make sure. And when he threw his hand up in the air, you know, I was just hoping that would go in.
As two physically and emotionally drained teams pushed towards a third overtime, the only thing that didn't suffer was the quality of play. But as night became morning, fatigue was undeniable and Boston's bench became a factor.
At the end of that third overtime period, there was a lot of players that were role players. Your 8th, your 9th, your 10th people were on the floor playing the nitty-gritty time.
Back out to Havlicek. Underneath to McDonald to fall away. Glenn McDonald! Glenn McDonald!
But to counter Boston's depth, Phoenix reached deep inside.
To the credit of our players, they never gave up. I'll say one thing about that 76 team. They refused to quit.
In the final seconds, the Suns again closed within 2 points. And at this juncture of the game, anything seemed possible. But Westphal and the Suns would come up one miracle short. The Celtics would take a dramatic step towards their 13th title by winning the longest game in NBA Finals history.